Hey, fifth grade. So, we've been learning about the Titanic in language arts class for maybe the past 2 weeks. So, I thought it would be fun if we could also explore the Titanic by numbers in math class. Some of these word problems can be a little tricky, so I'm going to read over each problem and help you set up the equations to figure out the answers. Let's take a look. So, the directions tell us to use the information above to help answer the questions. Let's look at number 1. Number 1 says, how many years passed between the sinking of the ship and the year it was found? So we're going to take a look at our data in our table above and we're going to figure this out. So we're going to go to years, year of the voyage. I'm going to highlight it so you can see it. And we're going to highlight the year it was found. So they're asking us how many years passed in between the year of the voyage and the year it was found. So what we're going to do to set up this problem is it's going to be a subtraction problem. We are going to take 1985 minus 1912 to get our answer for number 1. So you can use a calculator through this, or you can try to use a pencil and paper and figure it out on your own. But that is how we're going to set up number 1. It is a subtraction problem. Now let's take a look at number 2. Number 2 says, each of the workers who built the ship was paid about $4 per week. How much did the White Star Line, who built the ship, pay all the people who worked on it each week? So now we have to go up into our table and figure out how many people built the ship or how many people worked on the ship. So let's take a look and see if we can find it. So I see it right here, people who built the ship. So 3,000 people were working on the Titanic and they were paid $4 per week. They want to know how much money they were paid per week. So what we're going to do here is a multiplication problem. We're going to take the number of people, which was 3,000, times how much money per week they received, which was $4. So our equation for this problem will be 3,000 times 4. Okay, so moving on to number 3, it asks, what year did they begin building the Titanic? So for this problem, we need to know 2 different things. We need to know the year that it was finished being built and how long it took them to build the ship. So let's go look at our data in the table and we're going to figure this out. So we know that the Titanic set sail in 1912. That was the year of the voyage. So it was finished in 1912. But now we have to figure out how many years it took for them to build it. So I see down here the build time in years, 3. So it took them 3 years to complete building the Titanic. So what we're going to do here, it is going to be a subtraction problem. We're going to take the year of the voyage, or the year the ship was done being built, which is 1912, minus the build time that it took to create the ship. So we're going to take 1912 minus 3 to give us the answer of what year they began building the Titanic. Okay, let's take a look at number 4. It says if the ship was at full capacity, that means that all of the rooms in the ship were completely full, and 5 people could be in each room at one time. How many people might be in all of the rooms at once? So for this problem, we have to figure out what the full capacity or amount of rooms were on the ship. So that's what we're going to look for when we look in our data. And then we're going to take that number, the number of rooms, times the amount of people that could fit in each room, which is 5. So first let's go look and we'll figure out the amount of rooms. So number of rooms is right here. I'm going to highlight it so you can see it. There were 840 rooms on the Titanic, and 5 people could be in each one of those rooms at once. So like I said, we are going to multiply to figure out our answer for this problem. 840 times 5. So number 5, I think this is one of the easiest ones on our sheet for today, but it says the ship was 53 meters high. What was the difference between the height and the length? So they're giving us the height is 53 meters And we can remember that when we're looking for the difference of two numbers, that means that we're going to subtract. So what we need to figure out is the length. We're going to go look at our data in the chart above, and we're going to figure out the length of our ship. So right here, the length, we have 269 meters. And like I said, when we're finding the difference, we are going to be subtracting those two numbers. So we're going to take 269 for the length minus 53 meters high. So once again, that's 269 meters minus 53 meters. That's going to give us our answer for number 5. Okay guys, so for number 6, it says, a football field is 360 feet long. The Titanic was 883 feet long. About how many football fields long was the Titanic? So for this one, we actually don't need to take a look at our chart because all of the information that we need is right here in this word problem. We are taking the amount of feet that's in a football field, which is 360 feet long, into the length of the Titanic. So we're taking 883 feet, which is how long the Titanic was, and dividing it by 360 feet long, which is how long a football field is. So that's going to give us an estimate about how many football fields long the Titanic was. Now for this one, you will get a decimal as an answer. So if you're using a calculator, which I'm hoping that you are for this problem, you will get a decimal answer. So what I would like for you to do is either round it or give me the exact decimal number that you get on your calculator. Okay, so for number 7, it says, if the rooms were evenly split among the decks, which they weren't, how many would be on each floor? So there are two different things we need to figure out when we go look at our data chart. We need to know the number of rooms, and we also need to know how many decks we're splitting the rooms between. So let's go take a look. And up here, I already have my information highlighted. So the number of decks, there were 9. And the number of rooms, there were 840. So we are splitting those 840 rooms by 9 decks. So to set up this equation, I am going to make it a division problem. I'm going to take 840 divided by 9 to get my answer for number 7. Now you will get a decimal answer for this, and that is totally okay. I just would like you to round it to the nearest whole number. Okay, so last but not least, we have number 8. Now this is one that you're going to have to get creative with. It's asking you to write one more question that could be answered using the data above. So you're going to use the table with all of our data to come up with your very own question, similar to the ones like we just answered. You do not have to come up with an answer to this question, but I do want you to come up with the question using the data above.